This is the Shri Shakti Suraksha Survey. All of the research we're about to present to you in just a few minutes. It has been brought to us by P-Value Analytics. And this particular segment we're taking a look at is online safety. It's been a growing concern over the last few years, not just for women, but for everyone. But when it comes to women in particular, are we making progress? We revisited the survey that we'd done on Monday. It offered a closer look into how people perceive safety in different spaces. So initially what we'd taken a look at on Friday was not just across the entire country, a national perspective, but we also broke it down into different areas. So how safe does a woman feel when she's in where she goes to study, where she goes to work, when she does her public transport? That's what we took a look at on Friday. And we thought a very, very important aspect of this, something we hadn't spoken about, but that is imperceivable, is the digital world that surrounds us 24/7. This question of how safe women feel when they're using online platforms, whether it is to pay off a credit card bill, whether it is to make a purchase, or if it's just simply to use social media. We thought that was an important aspect to look at. Now, let's very quickly tell you how large our data set is, our sample size is. 8,000 respondents. These are women across 20 different cities in 20 states across the entire country. And these were detailed questions they were asked. So you actually had women call these women up, and these were 20-minute conversations at least. The average here was 20 minutes. They were asked over the span of 20 minutes, 98 questions, as you can see on your screens. P-Value Analytics conducted this research, and they actually conducted it in 10 different languages, which is how you know that this information, the research we're going to show you, runs deep. It isn't specific to an English-speaking or a Hindi-speaking crowd. So, what did the data say on this very, very important question? Are online spaces getting safer? Are we just getting used to the risks and maybe not raising a red flag? And when women report threats, is there real action actually taken? Can you report a threat when it comes to digital stuff, or does it feel like police, security services are 5 steps backwards when it comes to responding to all of this? What does the data say on all of this? We thought we should show you. So, number one, in terms of overall safety online, what did women have to say? Let's take a look. 46%, that is less than half, said that online environment is safe. 38% said they were neutral on this, and 17% that it feels unsafe. And we just want to point out to you, when we asked women how safe they felt in their cities, the numbers were 80% plus. So just look at that drop. When it comes to digital spaces, it's less than half that say that they feel safe in spaces like this. Okay, let's move on now to the next set of data. Confidence in action. So if something does happen to you, if for example you find your photos online, you see someone using your identity and setting up a fake Instagram profile, how safe do women feel around that fear? 47% said they're highly confident. Again, that's not a happy number at all. Less than half are saying they're highly confident about action being taken. 36% said they feel neutrally, and as you can see on your screens, 17% said that they are not confident that action will be taken. Okay, let's go over to our next data set over here. Efforts done for women's safety. Now, this is similar. This takes a look less at how people feel and more at how much they feel actions in the past have helped. So, whether it is education campaigns that police or society proactively takes, whether it is complaint cells that companies may set up to help their women employees, how safe do you feel the internet is, and how much do you feel the internet has active infra? So 46% say that yes, there is enough that's been set up, 40% say they feel neutrally, and 13% say they disagree, that anything makes them feel safe when it comes to efforts that have been made online. Okay, let's move very quickly now to our next data set after this. Okay, the next question is, has online safety of women improved in the past 2 years? This is very important. So when we ask women, what's your perception? Last 2 years, look back, do you think things have gotten better or worse as the world becomes more and more digital friendly? Only 32% say that yes, it has improved a little. Moderately, 38% say. So we do want to point that out to you, that when it comes to those numbers, they, as you can see, are not very high. 32% say, and so we'd just like to correct that graphic on your screens. Where it says a little 32%, that's actually the 32% right on top do believe positive change has happened. 38% say that there's been a moderate change, and a little is at 30%. Okay, let's take you to our next set of data. On this, we're not done at all. That's the last 2 years. But our next question on this, beyond the last 2 years, is the perception. Just going back to that question of how effective do you think online privacy policies are? So when an Instagram or Facebook says that they're going to take care of your safety, how safe do you think they are? 33% say it's highly effective. 46% say it's ineffective, and let's go back to neutral at, as you can see there, 21%. Okay, these are paltry numbers, especially in comparison to the data we brought you on Friday, where when it came to workplaces, when it came to education, when it came to cities and general safety, neighborhoods, women were very, very confident. The big question in that data was day and night. At night time, there was a big drop. But right now, as you can see, online safety paints a very, very different picture. Big lack of confidence showing there. Moderately positive, as you can see, when it comes to how many people think that there is change happening. But overall, these numbers all falling below 50%, showing that there's a big need for efforts to be taken to address all of these concerns. Now, we're going to move very quickly to our guests to understand this a little deeper. Dr. Seema Tiwari joins us from P-Value Analytics. She's with us this morning to give us deeper breakdowns around all of this data. Dr. Seema, good morning. Thank you for joining us here on the show. Once again, you joined us on Friday first to provide us with insight into this data. Dr. Seema, this data in particular is so interesting because it ties into this question of technology and whether or not technology actually helps improve human society, the dangers it can pose. That's a topic we take a look at a lot on the Breakfast Club. We thought it was important to highlight this data in particular. Dr. Seema, tell us first, if we just start off with how safe do you feel on social media? And the fact that these numbers are so far beyond what we looked at on Friday. On Friday, it was quite a positive picture. Today, we're seeing, when it comes to just that big question of safety, you know, earlier when that big question of safety in terms of Indian cities, how safe do you feel, it was 80% plus. Here, we're seeing 46%. Less than half of women are saying they feel safe online. Horrible numbers. Dr. Seema, you're someone who conducted the research. Obviously, you oversaw the research efforts. Tell us about some of the answers you got in this section when you were asking women.
So, first, good morning, Toya. And yes, you highlighted a very pertinent issue that if we compare the online safety with the safety in the other domains such as neighborhood or transportation, the numbers are much lower. However, I would not completely paint this as a horrible picture. The larger set of women have said that they feel online safe. So more or less, it is predominantly safer feeling of interactions on the online platforms. But at the same time, I would like to emphasize on the fact that feeling neutral in the online interactions and feeling highly unsafe is an area that is concerning. And the kind of questions and the answers which we have received from the respondents, many are very skeptical about the online interactions. They do not even try going online for the reason that they are unsure. So this highlights towards the poor communication gap that is existing as far as the online interactions are concerned, because anyone who is interacting online and if something happens, they are not sure. There is a ambiguity, there is uncertainty that what will be the consequences, and if something goes wrong, what actions will be taken. So these are the reasons which is making women skeptical about the online interactions, and that is holding them back.
Ask you, Dr. Seema, to shed a little light on the demographics here. So we were telling our audiences 20 cities across 20 states. And we know that this research was not conducted in a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 manner. That's not how these cities were chosen. But just to give us an understanding of how digital friendly these cities might be, how many were rural, how many were metropolitan, so we can better understand this data, because this is stark data. 46% saying that they think is enough is being done. That's less than half once again. So just tell our audiences a little bit more about the data set, the sample size here.
So the sample size here, if we particularly talk about the online safety, it was more than 5,500 women, because of the length of the questionnaire, it was asked in a way that it is applicable to the women who are receiving it. Not everyone was asked this question, but still a set of 5,500 is a significant number. And this question was asked to the women who were belonging to the urban setups, urban cities only. This entire survey is done with the urban women only. It is not done with the rural. And as far as demographics are concerned, any woman who is above 18 is a part of this study. So this is the demography at large. We are still doing analysis, and these are the early findings that we have shared with you so far, and the nuanced analysis and the nuanced data we will come up later, and we will be very happy to share that with you.
Okay, so Dr. Seema, we'll come back to you in just a second. We're also joined right now by Varija Bajaj. She's a fashion designer. She's actually someone we've had on the show before. Varija, we loved your thoughts around the issues when we got you on before, and today we thought we'd come to you on a number of aspects here. You are, of course, a fashion designer. You're someone who, is very, very familiar with the complications when it comes to running the back end of a portal, when it comes to purchasing, for example. And we'll come to that in a second. But Varija, first, if we could just ask you broadly, we just want to tell you, so on Friday, we conducted the first part of the survey. And when we'd conducted that, the data had been a very, very different picture. It had been frankly quite a positive picture in a lot of areas. 80% plus women saying they do feel safe. That number dropped when we said, okay, how safe do you feel in the night? Then there was a big drop. But largely in most areas, women said they do feel safe. But today, when we're taking a look at the online, the internet, the digital space, a new space in which Indian women, we spend hours online. You have only 46% saying they feel safe. Varija, first, we just wanted your personal reaction to this. Do you agree? Do you resonate? Do your friends, family, the women you speak to around you, do they resonate? And do you see a difference in how safe younger girls versus older women feel online? Tell us about your thoughts.
We are living in the world of social dilemma where we do not know whether we want to be online or whether we can get away with it. Honestly, we cannot. Look at the India numbers. We have 500 million YouTube users today. We have about 600 million WhatsApp users. We have 380 million Instagram users. We have 140 LinkedIn users, close to about that number. We cannot get away, by not being on the online platform, because today if somebody was to know you, if you were to pitch for business, the first thing they would do is they would go and check your LinkedIn profile. Now, having said that, we are dealing with a lot of data. And when I say that the women, or when your survey says that a lot of women feel safe out there because they don't even know where their data is floating. Today we are using Truecallers because your data of your number or your contact number is floating with the banks, it's floating with the real estate companies, it's floating with the credit card companies. Right now, as long as it works. But no, we are dealing with, closer ground. Let's talk Delhi. If I were to talk about physical space, today if I go to a restaurant, I'm not given a physical menu card. I'm asked to scan a QR code. Now that's data for me. I get irked by sharing my contact details there. If I go to a lifestyle, now this is a national brand, and I can say that loud and clear because every time I go there and I shop, they insist that I give my contact details, else they will not give me a bill, and they will not return if anything is damaged within their 15-day return policy. And if I do not give that, I'm not eligible for it. If I go to a salon, let's say a salon like Lux, They would not give me a printed bill if I do not give them my contact details. Now that is no more a choice. You have to give your contact details. Though I think it is quite against the legalities of it, whether you are supposed to share or not. But who's going to argue? Everybody doesn't know what falls within the
What their
sphere
empowerments
of.
are. Yeah, yeah.
But I run these two brands which are in the e-commerce space, and both these brands, we deal with a lot of fake orders. So there is no choice but to take. If you do not have a mobile number and if you do not get an OTP, you cannot place an order on my platform. And so is Myntra, and so is Amazon, and all of that. Because we get a lot of fake orders, internet is a relatively, and online shopping is a relatively new space, and everybody's toying with it, having fun at the cost of brands like ours. So it becomes imperative, but I think it comes with a lot of social responsibility that we keep that data intact. But I also know of brands and I also know of organizations that buy data, consumer data, relevant consumer data, to be able to pitch that to the Meta ads or the Google ads that they are targeting. So I think we're living in a very strange times where you want to be selectively visible, and you want to be followed or connected by the right kind of people. But no, when you're out there, I always tell my students, when I'm teaching in colleges, that you just can't post anything on social media. It's also about your personal branding. Everybody's watching you. Your recruiters are watching you. Your competition is watching you. Media is watching you. If anything is on your phone, even if you've not posted it, you shared your data with the iPhone and the Samsungs or the Android. Of course, and there's a whole new fight out there, between what's going on in US with regards to the data being used and the permissions being given. So yes, we are living in very strange times where you can't do with it, you can't do without it.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. Varja, if we could ask you, earlier we asked if you've seen a difference in the reaction that you get from younger women versus older women when it comes to online safety. So are younger girls feeling safer, and maybe falsely so? Is that possible? What do you see in the women around you?
Yeah, because we're dealing with plastic currency, we're dealing with the UPI payments. If you see the older generation, they're still not comfortable with the credit cards. They're not comfortable doing. My mom, she does not have a net banking for the simple reason: what if she presses a wrong button and her entire money just gets transferred? That's how it has been, and she's been grown up with all that news that she's been hearing about online frauds. But if I were to talk about the younger lot in their 20s or even younger, they do not carry physical money.
Yeah.
So of course their data is out there and they're far more comfortable as long as nothing happens.
Yeah, and that's where we've got our fingers crossed constantly as women. Okay, let's just go to Dr. Seema to understand. Varja, just stay with us for a second. Dr. Seema, can you tell our audiences, is it possible to break this data down by age? I know you have that data. Are we, still awaiting the data to understand, for example, if the women who said that they felt highly unsafe were largely older or younger? Do we have that kind of context here?
Yes, absolutely. It is absolutely possible to break that data down by age, and we are doing analysis. And you have rightly pointed out that the younger women are much more comfortable in their online interactions as compared to the older age groups. However, the concrete research findings, when they will be shared, that I think that will be a better context to put it with validity. So I would not give a fleeting comment on this, but yes, it is possible to break it out.
Okay, so let's just ask you where it says that this, because there was this very, very interesting question you asked in multiple areas, the last 2 years question. And this question of, in the last 2 years, have you seen improvement? And when it came to a lot of public areas, again on Friday, we found the data said yes. When it came to neighborhoods, when it came to workplaces, a lot of women did feel that yes, there had been an improvement. But here, only 32% are saying that, and we're showing you that data over there. 32% are saying positive change has taken place. 38% as you can say moderately. And when it comes to a little, you have a big chunk there. 30% are saying that basically nothing has happened. Again, Dr. Seema, horrific numbers in this section. Again and again, we're drawing that comparison. Just tell our audiences, Dr. Seema, what you thought about that point. The fact that people don't feel like much change is happening here.
Absolutely. Here, I would actually say that this is much more concerning as compared to the other online data we have seen so far. That the numbers are just they are just similar to each other, 33, 37, 36, like that. So here, what we have seen that, the confidence is not there because they have not really seen it happening on the ground. Maybe there is a poor communication about what efforts are being made, and therefore they have not seen the improvement on the ground.
Yeah.
Or there's a huge possibility that there's a very little public awareness about even if they are making some advancement, they're not communicating it. So there is no visibility of the initiatives which are being taken, and that is why
if there are initiatives.
if there are initiatives, absolutely, and that is why we can see that it seems rather stagnant or getting worsened.
Yeah, it's actually,
concerned.
you're right, it's a double-pronged problem. The first question is, are actions being done by security agencies? And the second is, if they are we being told about them? So let's just go very quickly, closing words. Bharija, we want to come to you to ask you this. Because you are someone, as we were saying earlier, who runs, as you've said, 2 different outlets online, so you take care of the back end, you're constantly dealing with people's data, but you're also a modern woman in India, and so you're surrounded by a lot of other women, you yourself, who are using data and digital spaces constantly. Bharija, if we could ask you, for the last few decades, ever since the internet became a thing, it's always felt like you can use online, but when it comes to complaining about problems, going to a police officer may or may not be effective. When you face online harassment, when you're being trolled, it's only when it's taking place on a big scale to a celebrity that one feels like, okay, police authorities you can go and complain to. But can the average Indian woman? She can. But do we know Indian women who have? Maybe not. So, Bharija, could I ask you there, what do you think needs to be done? Because it's not as if police forces aren't there to act on this issue. But maybe it is that we don't go to them. How do you see this?
So we're really looking at a very strong digital India coming in next few years, and that's how our Prime Minister has projected, or he has plans in place. But parallelly, a lot of work is happening on the ground. There's a lot of cyber education that is happening at the school level. There are guest lectures by cyber experts. Both my children, they're very young, and at a very young age of even before their teens, they are exposed to, how the hacking happens and how they should be careful about sharing the data, all of that. So even before we as parents sort of educate them, I think the schools have taken up in a very big way, which I think is very progressive. But at the same time, we are seeing rampant episodes, and I think now it's become even more prevalent, where your Facebook account is hacked, where your WhatsApp account is hacked. Every week I get some friend or the other saying that my WhatsApp is hacked, please don't transfer the money. So it's become very, very prevalent. I think we have to figure that out as authorities or at the back end, that how do we curtail that. But at the same time, I've had personal episodes, and I always go as no celebrity to cybercrime. There have been cases of harassment, there have been cases of deepfake, where I have witnessed my images being used, and these episodes have happened a decade ago. So I have been exposed to how cybercrime was dealing it then, to vis-a-vis, let's say 2 years ago, and a lot has changed. So they know that they're dealing with something serious. Even if they can't handle it, they do have experts that they do outsource, the technical aspects of technology, and they manage it anyhow. They know this is serious stuff, and they can't just let go. So I am seeing that change, and I hope this becomes even more robust in the coming years, because there's no running away from the digital platforms in any way in future times to come.
Paraja, we appreciate you even sharing, the fact that you've actually dealt with this and you dealt with it 10 years ago. That comparison is an important one. The fact that today you are saying, as on first-hand experience, that things have changed.
And no, I did not go to the cybercrime, and I usually do not go to the authorities with my disclosure of my personality. I just go as a regular citizen.
Yeah, yeah.
No, they did take it seriously. 10 years ago, they did take it seriously, but I don't think they were equipped enough to handle it. But now the interstate cybercrime communication is far more robust than what it was 10 years ago.
All right, so positive steps, but the numbers do show still that, that change needs to be felt by women across the country. Varija, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Dr. Seema, as usual, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for highlighting all of the data for our audiences. Okay, we're going to be heading into a quick break. After the break, we bring you to something entirely different. Two women and their history-making mission as they circumnavigate the world.
In first place, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, with 131,674 votes, resulting in 29,457 allocated points, representing 85.9% of the vote.
My government will put into action our plan to build a stronger economy, to create new trading relationships with reliable trading partners, and to secure our borders. There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Yeah. Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't. We won't. The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada. And my government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect. The Americans want our resources, our water, our land, our country. Think about it. If they succeeded, they would destroy our way of life. In America, health care is a big business. In Canada, it is a right. America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form. Look, we didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight. But Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans They should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win. So Donald Trump thinks he can weaken us with his plan to divide and conquer. Pierre Poilievre's plan will leave us divided and ready to be conquered. Because a person who worships at the altar of Donald Trump will kneel before him, not stand up to him. I know that these are dark days. Dark days brought on by a country we can no longer trust. We are getting over the shock, but let us never forget the lessons. We have to look after ourselves, and we have to look out for each other. We need to pull together. When we come together, we build things that last because we are Canada strong. Vive la Canada! Merci tout le monde.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Club. Let's take you now to an interesting, in-depth look at how climate change can affect what's on your plate. It's going to be a scorching March, with the IMD saying that this may be one of the hottest March months ever. Temperatures in many states are possibly going to be crossing 40 degrees. Heat waves are expected in North and Central India, and that's a big problem for wheat and for rice. This is not something we talk about often, but climate change could slash their production by 6 to 10%. By the end of the century, wheat yields may drop as much as 25%. So obviously that's in a few decades from now. Irrigated rice could shrink by 10%. And why does this matter? India harvested 113 million tons of wheat and 137 million tons of rice last year. 80% of the country relies on subsidized grains, and if production falls, food security will be the big thing at risk, the big worry for Indians across the country. Rising temperatures are also hurting crops in other ways. You have the western disturbances, for example. They bring winter rain. They are weakening, and what that possibly means is that less water could be taking place, less water for people in the Himalayas and the surrounding regions in the form of rainfall. Wheat is taking a hit too. Heat stress is lowering both its production and its quality, and it's not just the land. The Indian Ocean, it's worrying, is warming at a very alarming speed. By the end of the century, it could be in a near permanent heat wave. That would possibly disrupt your monsoons, it could delay crop cycles, and it could make extreme weather even worse. Farmers are already struggling with all of these changes. We thought it was important to highlight this, to flag this as we stand right at the beginning of a particularly hot March. Rising sea temperatures are even forcing fish deeper into the ocean, hurting coastal communities across the entire country. Extreme weather events are getting harder to predict, and the lead time for forecasting heavy rainfall. Remember, that's the amount of time that is typically required to tell how heavy rainfall is going to be. That lead time has been cut in half. Another major concern, of course, is the Himalayas. As glaciers are melting, snowfall is decreasing, and 1/7 of the world's population could face a water crisis. So it's not just your plate, it's also what's in your glass. So what can be done on all of this? What can you do, and what can communities across the entire country do to better prepare themselves? Experts say one option, early sowing, better fertilization management and pest control. These are some of the things that can help. Scientific research, more financial aid, and of course farmer education, they're all going to be key to our efforts. As the warnings for this March pour in, IMD says temperatures will sharply rise from mid-month. They'll possibly hit 6 degrees above normal in some states in just a few days from now. Wheat producing regions will be the worst affected, and they're already having an impact. So the temperatures we're talking about right now, it's all already having an impact on India's wheat supply. Last year, you had a heat wave that took place in Feb and in March, and it damaged crops so badly that India actually had to restrict the wheat it exports typically. Another spike in temperature could also mean possibly more shortages. You have cities that are already feeling the heat. Mumbai touched 39 degrees in Feb, 6 degrees that above the normal temperature. Goa, coastal Maharashtra, they all also saw temperatures soaring past 37 degrees. And by the end of this month, several states are expected to cross 40 degrees. The big question, and what we wanted to talk about, is how prepared is the entire country for a March like this? Now, keeping that question with you, keeping what can be done with you through the rest of the day, we wanted to put this information out there. It's important to keep in mind as you check the temperature every day before you leave the house. All information that we brought you today was brought by News18.com. It was actually put together by Shilpi Bisht, and we hope to bring you more such explainers like this. The warnings for March are serious. We want to keep highlighting them right here on the show. Okay, let's shift focus. All right, shifting focus entirely now to something very different. Women's Day has just taken place over the weekend, and a few months ago, we brought you the first part of this story. An interview with two female officers from the Indian Navy. You had Lieutenant Commander Dilna and Rupa. They embarked on a mission to circumnavigate, that means go around the entire world. They set sail from a port in Goa in October, and that's when we brought you the first interview. A few more months from now, they are actually hoping to become the first Indians. That's the record they're going to be setting. The first Indians to have sailed around the entire world in a double-handed sailing vessel. Now, how are our two explorers doing in their journey? As we said earlier, we spoke to them right in the beginning. We thought we needed to check in now that it's been a few months. Let's go over to them to understand a little bit more, and we'll talk to them in particular about, all right, here they are. Hello, thank you for speaking to us, Lieutenant Commander Dilna and Rupa. How does it feel to have crossed, a few weeks ago you did this, you crossed the world's most remote location, Point Nemo. Tell us about that, tell us about the moment. How did it feel? Did you do anything special?
So crossing Point Nemo was a thrilling experience, and it was a proud moment for us to be the first Indians to reach the point. And we collected some water samples for doing further research, which we'll be handing over to Indian Institute of. We celebrated by proudly flying our national flag and Indian flag and our Indian Navy's flag at Point Nemo by offering some sweets to Lord Varuna, and we also recorded our coordinates at Point Nemo. And I think I'll be the first one to celebrate my wedding anniversary there at the remotest place of the earth.
But what was going through your head? Tell us that when you realized that, you know, you're in this Point Nemo. Our audiences may know is famous for being as isolated as it is. You were in this point in the middle of nowhere. What was passing through your mind?
So it really felt incredible to be far out there at Point Nemo, and for a moment to realize that we were truly very alone from everyone and any land on the earth. It took a moment for us to sink that in, and also it gave us a sense of vastness of a planet and how there are still places really inaccessible to humans, and that made us really feel small.
Lieutenant Commanders, before we go ahead, you should know our entire TBC team really looks up to you guys. You are so brave. What was the most challenging part of the journey so far, and what's your motivation?
So we faced many challenges at sea, like crossing the Drake Passage and rounding the Cape Horn, and we had sleepless nights and total exhaustion, both physically and mentally. Sometimes you just never know what's coming up next. That unknown is scary sometimes, but we have to push our limits and keep going. And we have been sailing for almost 5 months now, with just 2 of us on board for that long is mentally and physically demanding. So it's very important that we stay fit to make it through the rest. And the motivation for me to go through all this is sailing lets me explore, and we are learning something new every day. When things get tough, it pushes me to see what I'm capable of, and we have a great support system also, like Indian Navy, our families and friends who supports us, which keeps us going even when the situations are tough.
What does this mission mean to you personally, though? Tell us. Has it changed how you view your profession, the world around you? Tell us a little more.
So for me, sailing has been a really transformative journey, and I have come to realize that you can compare sailing to life, where life is, and both sailing is unpredictable, beautiful, and vast. And during sailing, I discovered more about myself, and I have gained a new perspective on life.
Wow.
And also, this journey has taught me to appreciate the simplicity of life and not to worry about the great stuff. Also, and I think it's very easy it's okay to live life without luxury, and this is possible because I was in the Indian Navy, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity, and it has developed a deeper respect for nature and life. And I'm hoping that when I get back to land, I will have I will still have the same perspective, because I feel that if I can handle the rough seas, then a bad day at land is okay.
We're losing you slightly, but the great thing is we can still hear your words, Lieutenant Commander Rupa, and it is so incredible to just hear you say, that the things that matter, you have, and you now know, what matters in life. It's not the big things. It's not worth sweating over. Let's just ask you next, Lieutenant Commander Dilna, what's your next big goal for both of you? What is your next adventure? Do you already have a sight on that right now? Are you focused on completing this journey?
Yeah, so my priority is to finish the circumnavigation first, and we have already started discussing on our next step on our return. So something that will allow me to do further challenge myself when the opportunity arises. And for now, I will keep my options open.
Okay, we were just telling our audiences that Women's Day has just taken place, and we just want to ask you in that context that, it's just taken place. Tell us about if you have any message for women out there, especially to, the women who want to take on adventurous roles.
It feels really great to be part of this project and to grab this opportunity to do this toughest journey. And like I said before, this journey has been very personal to me, and most importantly, I feel it is the right time and space for me that I was able to do this and showcase and explore myself during this journey. And I feel that every woman out there is incredibly and immensely capable, and my message would be that you should just give a try to every opportunity that comes your way.
Okay, we're not done asking asking you for advice. Rather, every word feels so precious because you're out there right now on the ocean. But I do want to ask you once again, Women's Day, what are your take and what's your advice for women who want to take on adventurous roles?
So for me, I'm proud to be a part of this achievement and grateful for this once in a life-changing opportunity. I have faced many challenges in life, but I have never let that hold me back. So to all the women who aspire to take on any challenge, I would say the families and marriages are beautiful, but so are your dreams. Don't let anyone, including yourself, make you think that you have to choose between the two. You can have both.
All right, that's really incredible. Thank you both for joining us. They've taken out a few seconds right now. They are on the waters. We're going to leave you to continue your journey. It's a 8-month plus journey. It's just incredible. Look at those visuals. All right, and we've checked in with them now halfway. Now we're going to hear from them right at the end. Let's move on though to something slightly different. Next on the show, Daniel Pink is the author of 7 New York Times best-selling books. He was the chief speechwriter for former US Vice President Al Gore, and his TED Talk is considered to be one of the 25 most popular TED Talks of all time. It's actually received more than 40 million views. At the GWS, the Global Wealth Summit that just took place, Sonal actually sat down and spoke to him about the power of regret and how it can actually be harnessed. Take a look. This is the conversation.
Now, your book on regret has very different meanings for everybody. But here, every leader, every investor, every entrepreneur sitting in this audience has faced regret. Things like they must be feeling right now about regret would be, oh, I did not bet on Nvidia. Oh, I sold an ITC stock really early. Oh, I didn't cash in on that Bitcoin rally. So how do these people, the wealth creators of India, how do they not see regret as a failure? And what I'm really trying to ask you and to translate in their language would be, if regret were a stock, why are you betting on it?
Oh, because if regret were a stock, I would bet on it because its long-term returns, when invested in properly, are massive. And this is a great way to look at it, Sonal. Let's stick with your metaphor here for a moment, okay? So regret is that feeling that we have when we look backward and wish we had done something or wish we hadn't done something. It's a painful emotion. And our goal, what we might think, is that we want to avoid regret at all costs, and that if we feel regret, we should just ignore it because we don't want to wallow in it. And that's not quite right. What we should think of is that regret is an emotion that is functional. It's adaptive. It has a purpose. And if we think about all of our emotions, here's where I'm going to stick with your metaphor. Let's think about all of the emotions that we have as human beings as a portfolio. And in your portfolio of emotions, you want to have a lot of positive emotions. You want to have more positive emotions than negative emotions if you're interested in long-term growth. But you don't want to have only positive emotions. That's not diversified enough. And you want to have some negative emotions because negative emotions are functional. So would you want to if I offered anybody in this audience an operation and said, I will eliminate fear, you will no longer experience fear, which is a negative emotion. Don't take that offer because fear is functional. You want to get out of a burning building. Think about something like grief. Grief is functional. It reminds us why we love. And so the most prominent negative emotion we have is regret. And the reason that we have it is because it can help us make better decisions in the future.
I see. Interesting. But, financial loss is more than just regret, right? It's a direct, immediate hit on the pocket. Unlike, say, an emotional regret, a friend you don't speak to or a father you don't call very often, financial regrets aren't like an egg you can unscramble. So currently, when the markets are so volatile right now in India, what's your advice on coping with financial regret?
Well, I think you have to think about, I think what we need to do as healthy human beings, whether we're investing or whether we're parents or anything, is regretting the right thing. And what we should be regretting are a lot of times we regret the outcome. Okay? So let's take an example here. Right? If I want to go out for a run outside and it is raining and I can't go out for a run, I can't regret that. That's not regret. That is disappointment. That's something that I have control over. And so you can only regret things that you have control over. And as you know, as you were talking about a moment ago, this market is volatile. The idea that you have control over the outcomes of all of your investments is a fool's game. What you want to do is you want to make smart decisions over a large portfolio in a long period of time, and over time, that's going to work out for you. But if you regret every outcome, then you end up making worse decisions. You want to focus on evaluating the decision rather than the outcome. That is absolutely the key, because there are stocks that go up, there are stocks that go down, but you want to make sure if you didn't invest in Nvidia and you had a good reason for doing it, then interrogate that decision, see what you can learn if that was truly a mistake. But you know what? Sometimes things are random. We know that very well from the stock market, and that's one reason that we diversify.
All right, beautiful advice to leave you with through the rest of your day in important words from women explorers. And now this, we're going to be taking a break. On the other side, we take a look at something very special. Do stay with us.
Mutual funds.
In first place, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, with 131,674 votes, resulting in 29,457 allocated points, representing 85.9% of the vote.
My government will put into action our plan to build a stronger economy, to create new trading relationships with reliable trading partners, and to secure our borders. There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Yeah. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't. We won't. The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada. And my government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect. The Americans want our resources, our water, our land, our country. Think about it. If they succeeded, they would destroy our way of life. In America, health care is a big business. In Canada, it is a right. America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form. Look, we didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight. But Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win. So Donald Trump thinks he can weaken us with his plan to divide and conquer. Pierre Poilievre's plan will leave us divided and ready to be.
We are almost at the end of our breakfast show. Today we have highlighted so many different things, right from talking about women's safety to the effect of climate change on crops, to talking to two brave women who are going all around the world and lastly, to the power of regret and how you can harness it. Now, we're not done bringing you things from across the country and the world. What we're going to close with right now are these visuals. Take a look. You already know what India did over the weekend, winning finally a trophy, the Champions Trophy, the ICC Champions Trophy. And those are all of our cricketers posing finally with that trophy in their hands. We skipped over it. We just showed it to you for a second in the beginning, but Shubman Gill's pose in the bed with that trophy, maybe the funniest. There you go. Maybe the funniest. Obviously, he's considered quite a cricketing heartthrob, so millions of women over there seeing that photo, him in his bed saying, I woke up like this. All right, with that, we'll see you tomorrow.
In first place, the next Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, with 131,674 votes, resulting in 29,457 allocated points, representing 85.9% of the vote.
My government will put into action our plan to build a stronger economy, to create new trading relationships with reliable trading partners, and to secure our borders. There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't. We won't. The Canadian government has rightly retaliated and is rightly retaliating with our own tariffs that will have maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada. And my government will keep our tariffs on until the Americans show us respect. The Americans want our resources, our water, our land, our country. Think about it. If they succeeded, they would destroy our way of life. In America, healthcare is a big business. In Canada, it is a right. America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form. Look, we didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight. But Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win. So Donald Trump thinks he can weaken us with his plan to divide and conquer. Pierre Poilievre's plan will leave us divided and ready to be conquered. Because a person who worships at the altar of Donald Trump will kneel before him, not stand up to him.
Hello and good morning. Thank you for tuning in to CNN News 18. I'm Shan Elizabeth Matthew. Let's begin this bulletin with the top news this hour. Coming in, how the Prime Minister is on Tuesday arrived in Mauritius for a 2-day visit to the Eastern African nation. Now, he was received at the airport in Port Louis by Mauritius Prime Minister Naveen Ramgoolam, and the two leaders were caught exchanging a warm hug as Prime Minister Modi landed at the airport. I'm now joined by CNN News 18 Siddhant Mishra. Siddhant, an unprecedented welcome that is being given to the Prime Minister. We are seeing all the cabinet ministers and MLAs in large number have in fact gathered at the airport, including the Prime Minister himself.
Well, that's right, Sharon. It was indeed an unprecedented welcome that Prime Minister Modi was accorded with at the Port Louis airport on his arrival. In fact, something for the first time even I'm witnessing, where the full Ramgoolam government was in attendance at the airport to welcome Prime Minister Modi. From MLAs to MPs to other dignitaries, their spouses. There was this grand welcome which was planned by the Mauritius government for Prime Minister Modi's arrival. There were 200 people. This is what we have been told. Approximately 200 people were there at the airport to welcome Prime Minister Modi, as PM Modi is on a state visit to Mauritius as a chief guest of Mauritius's National Day celebrations. In fact, Prime Minister Naveen Ramgoolam garlanded Prime Minister Modi on his arrival at the airport. There was the glimpses of the call on also by the other dignitaries, and the grand welcome was arranged by the Mauritius government. Mauritius government for Prime Minister Modi. Now today, Prime Minister Modi will meet the other dignitary from the Mauritius government. He is also going to meet Naveen Ramgoolam, the Prime Minister of Mauritius. Again, tomorrow, there is going to be the delegation level talks between the two countries. We could expect the exchange of MOUs and press a statement, and after which Prime Minister Modi will participate in the National Day celebrations of Mauritius.
Also, Siddhant, when we talk about the last visit of the Prime Minister, it was in 2015. So this visit is after almost a decade. So this is extra special, and considering that this is the National Day of Mauritius where the Prime Minister is taking part, tells a lot about the kind of relationship that India and Mauritius shares.
Well, absolutely, Sharon. And India and Mauritius have a very unique relationship. There is a unique cooperation which exists between the two countries. And in fact, last year, President Draupadi Murmu was the chief guest for National Day of Mauritius in 2024. In fact, Mauritius has also participated in the swearing-in ceremony of PM Modi in 2014, 2019 and 2024. Mauritius was also sharing a special invitee for G20 Summit in 2023. And as I said before, India and Mauritius have uniquely close cooperation in maritime security, development partnership, capacity building, cooperation in international fora, etc., etc. In fact, in 2016, India provided a grant of $353 million to Mauritius as a special economic package for 5 priority projects, which includes metro, a Supreme Court building, a new ENT hospital, social housing project, and digital tablets for school children. India also extended a $500 million line of credit in 2017 to Mauritius to finance 10 projects. In fact, one MOU on community development project was signed in January 2022 to undertake 96 small people-oriented projects all across Mauritius. And last year, Sharon, Prime Minister Modi and then Prime Minister of Mauritius jointly inaugurated airstrip and other development projects on Agilega Island. Perhaps that India's role in the development of Mauritius is very significant, has been very significant, and India is among the largest trading partners of Mauritius. Mauritius is the second largest source of FDI to India. There are a lot of PSUs, Indian government-owned PSUs, working in Mauritius. Both countries also have a cooperation in the